Hey, sports fans, PBZ Sports Chaos. We're back at you after week 1 in the NFL. We are truly excited to talk a little recap of last week and what's going on this week. Lots of stuff going on in sports. I'm going to hit the 2-minute drill real quick, and then we'll get into some college football and then the NFL. All right, PB, little 2-minute drill. MLB. Don't look now, but the Yankees, who looked out of it 2 weeks ago, suddenly bounced back 8-0 over their last 8 games. 19 home runs in the last 3 games. DYK, that's a Major League record. 19 home runs the last 3 games. Last night they had 5 in the 4th inning alone, 4 of them on the first pitch. Oh, my God. By the way, they're hitting a home run once out of every 11 at-bats. Is the ball juiced, you think?
That's a pretty good ratio, maybe.
Oh, God, man. Hey, by the way, in MLB, Giants and Phillies in the National League, PB. Neither one of us saw this coming. Right now, they're the 7th and 8th seed. Can you believe it?
Yeah, we didn't have either of those teams picked to make the playoffs, right?
No, and Mike Yastrzemski, little Yaz, he's actually like a leader in the MVP voting right now, they say. We'll see. All right, by the way, the Sox still suck. Second worst team in all of baseball. As Dorothy once said, we're not in Tampa anymore, Toto, to Chaim Bloom. Because Chaim doesn't get it. He thinks these guys are a little league team. He does not know how to run a big leagues franchise. I know he came from Tampa. It's not the same thing. All right, NHL. Speaking of Tampa, though, the Lightning came back and won. They beat the Islanders 4-2, 4 games to 2. They won in overtime last night. Islanders did have a shot, but they could not score the 4-minute power play. Tampa Bay wins that. PB, are they still the team that you are watching to win the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, last week you asked me Tampa or the field, and I said Tampa. They're playing great hockey. I knew they'd have the Islanders on the ropes after the Islanders played a tough series. Dallas, though, they've surprised some teams. They didn't have a long series with Vegas. They took pretty quick business of them. So Dallas is just one of those teams that's just got the, that they're like the Nuggets of the NBA. They got that Cinderella shoe on right now, and the question is it going to fall off? I think Tampa's going to take it to them. I like Tampa in that series.
I do as well, but you are right, man. They got an ex-Bruin goalie, right? I can't pronounce his name. Khudobin?
Yeah, Khudobin, yeah.
Khudobin, there you go. Wow, all right. Hey, NBA, we're going to talk about this one. Your finals picked the Clippers. Speaking of Cinderella knocked them off. They're done. That's 2 series in a row or 3 in a row now for the Nuggets coming back from 3-1, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, being down 3-1 against the Clippers, I didn't think they had a chance. And now,
no way.
Yeah.
No, we were talking about that.
Yeah, the question is, what can they do with the Lakers now? Do you think Denver can actually represent the West in the finals?
I had a golden slipper. I don't know where it is now, but I was going to say no, the slipper falls off.
Okay.
By the way, I'm with you. I think the Lakers take that thing, and it's all over for the Nuggets. Sorry, our Denver fans, but bye-bye, Cinderella's. It's midnight. Now, on the other conference, the Eastern, oh, my God, the Celtics. They've had 2 shots. They should have won both games. I can't believe it. First game, game 1, I'm going to blame that all on Jason Tatum. Believe it or not, he was 0 for 7 and late in the 4th quarter and overtime. By the way, as part of that 0 for 7, he had 3 bricks from three-point land that led to 3 fast break 2-on-1 baskets from Miami, 1 air ball as well, and then, of course, the renowned dunk attempt at the end of the game that got rejected by Bam from the University of Kentucky Wildcats. I loved it. But I'm disappointed because they had a shot in game 2. They were up 17 points last night in the first half. All of a sudden, the 3rd quarter came. Miami totally outcoached them. Eric Spo, E-Spo as they call him down there in Florida and Miami, he totally outcoached Brad Stevens. And I got to say this, PB, I think it's over. I don't know if it'll be a sweep, but if it is a sweep, here's my prediction. Danny Ainge has to find another coach because Brad Stevens cannot relate to these guys. For some reason or other, they step all over him. I don't know why, but they do. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough series now. I really think the Celtics are playing with the Heat. They're by no means getting smoked. They did get smoked in that 3rd quarter yesterday, but I think they're playing with them. And I think every one of these games is a coin flip. It could go either way. So is it impossible? I mean, they got to win 4 out of 5, basically, at this point. So They got to win the next game, take it a game at a time, get the series tied back up 2-2, and I think it can go any way. But once the Heat win that third game, if they do that, go up 3-0 or even 3-1, it's going to be a tough road for the Celtics. Right now, I do like the Heat in the series, given the fact that they're up 2-0 is kind of an obvious pick. I just think it's too much for the Celtics to overcome. And that, I think, would be a great final, too. The Heat and Lakers would be fantastic.
I would agree. Like DYK, the Miami Heat are 14-0 lifetime when they go up 2-0. So in my mind, it's already over. Even the Celtics, they're not going to pull it back. I can't see it happening.
It's a tough pill to swallow, though, because you're right. They had game one. They let them.
They had both of them.
And they were even up by, I think they made it up by 5 in overtime. And they lost in overtime. And then yesterday by 17, still 13 at the half they were up by. And then they just freaking imploded after that.
And they even came back in the fourth. They actually were up by 4 late in the fourth as well.
Yeah.
And they just imploded. I mean, that's why I say this is on coaching at this point in time. Espo is doing a great job. I never gave him his kudos, but I think he's a good coach. All right, let's get on to college football because we got some big news over the last 48 hours. The Big Ten is coming back. They're going to start the weekend of October 23rd, 24th. 8-game schedule. They're going to play the championship game the night before the college football playoffs are announced. So they factor to be in that potentially. PB, given that what we heard that the Big Ten is coming back, do you want a mulligan? Because I know I do on your Final Four college football playoff picks.
You know what? I'm not going to take a mulligan, and I'm also going to go with the with the football writers and all the association, everyone that does the rankings there. You're only playing 8 games. I mean, are you going to take an 8-0 Ohio State team over, let's say, 11-1 Georgia team? That loses their one game to, LSU or to
Alabama
or something like that. You know what I mean? So I just think that they're going to have they're already kind of wimped out at the beginning of this whole thing. Now they're like watching everyone else play and play efficiently, and there's no real outbreaks or anything crazy going on. Now they're like, oh, wait, we want to play too. And now they're going to be crying because they're not going to get into the CFP. I don't care.
I like your reasoning there. That's a good point. So if a one-loss SEC team is on the outskirts looking in or in the 4th position, do you now leapfrog them with an undefeated, say, Ohio State, which I know everybody thought was the number 2 team in the country going in before the whole thing happened? That's a good point. You know what? You got me thinking. I was going to move Georgia out and move Ohio State in, but I don't know. I might be on your side on this one. All right. Good point.
Yeah,
like
I have Florida as my 4, right? So
yeah. So that means you have Alabama, Florida, and Georgia all gone, correct?
No, I have Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and then
Oklahoma.
I took
Alabama
Florida as my 14.
All right.
I mean, I was teetering with Georgia. I know Notre Dame's got some good potentials, but I went with Florida. I just went with
Florida, right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right. Hey, by the way, college football, I know I said it was going to be a dud last week, but guess what? The Big 12 played the Sun Belt, and they went 0 for 3. Iowa State's a team that I said was a wild card. See you later. That's over. They lost to Louisiana Lafayette. And I didn't think the game was even that close. I know it looked good on the scoreboard, but not that close. Wow. Good games last weekend. What did you think? You watch any of them?
I did not watch college on Saturday last week.
All right. You know what? It wasn't worth watching in the first place. I only caught a little bit of it, but it turned out to be a good weekend after all. So let's get into college football picks real quick. Fans, as you know, on this show, we pick against the spread in college, and the pros, we just picked the winner. I got 4 games this week. I got down there in PB's backyard. FIU is giving 6 going up to Georgia Southern. Who do you like there?
I do like FAU. I'd lay the points, too. I think the line actually came down to 5.5, so money's probably coming in on Georgia Southern at this point, but I'll go FAU and lay the points.
Georgia Southern, a one-time Division 1AA powerhouse, always played well. I'm still going with FAU. I'm with you. All right. Local guy, BC. They traveled down to North Carolina to play Duke. It was 4.5 last I saw.
Now.
It's up to 6?
It's up to 6, yeah. The money's late coming in on Duke pretty heavy.
Wow. All right. Who do you like?
That's a tough one. I mean, the line's moved a lot. Usually when it starts to move like that, obviously it's because money's coming in and they want to kind of, make it even. So that gives BC a little bit of advantage. I think Duke wins this game, but I think BC figures out a way to cover. Either a garbage touchdown late that gets them within that 6 or, but I think they can cover the spread. So I'm going to take –
I had Duke at 4.5. I got them at 6. BC had no pregame at all. Duke's already played one game, so I think, and they played a tough one, but at that, so I'm going with Duke. All right.
Okay.
Big one for you, and me too as well. I love the Canes. Miami travels up to Louisville. Last I saw, it was a -2, a -2. Louisville was being favored. Who do you like there?
Yeah. Actually, I think Miami is favored on the road at 2.5. I think Miami's laying the points on that one.
That's a flip because it was Louisville yesterday.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong then. Either way, I'm going to take the Canes. I'd lay the 2.5. Miami wins that game by a field goal at least.
Derek King, yes, but they got a good quarterback at Louisville. This kid Cunningham, Malik Cunningham. All right, here's a fun one for you. The Citadel, they get 47.5 points against Clemson. I'm taking.
Did you take Miami too?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Citadel is getting 47.5 points. That means they're going to score 7 less touchdowns than Clemson in order to cover. Who do you like there?
I got my predicted final for that game, 56-7, which would be a 49-point win, which means Clemson covers the spread by 1.5.
All right. I don't know, man. I'm going to take Citadel. All right. NFL, obviously, we saw last night the Browns finally won a game. They beat Joey Burrow in the battle of the number 1, 35-31. Burrow had a pretty good game. He threw for 31 completions, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. But who really cares? PB, let's talk about last week, though. Give me some highlights from last week real quick. What did you like about last week?
The Saints-Bucs game was entertaining. Brady obviously did not do as well as many people hoped. I thought Godwin and Evans would be a bigger part of that passing attack, and they really weren't. Ronald Jones was pretty impressive on the ground. So I think they do have a balanced attack there, and I think they might have some good things coming. But Brady seemed pretty upset about that loss. So we'll see what happens going forward. I thought that was a pretty entertaining game. We're going to talk more about the Patriots in a minute, so I don't want to steal any thunder there. There was some upsets, big upsets. The Colts losing to the Jags was a big upset.
Your number 1 seed, by the way.
My number 1 seed, I know. Well, Green Bay, my other number 1, nice win on the road, right up in Minnesota.
Aaron Rodgers, as Stephen A. Smith said, he's a bad man. He really went off.
Yeah, he did. I'm expecting a big year out of him. So that was an interesting game. Your Cowboys, I thought they were gonna. I didn't think they would succumb to the Rams. They couldn't get the ball moving. They couldn't really score some points there. That was an interesting game. The
Arizona over the 49ers is a big one.
Yeah, Arizona. I mean, obviously, I picked Arizona in that game, and not on the show, but I picked them outside of that. Philly. What about Philly losing to Washington? That was a interesting set of events that took place there. They started off strong. I think they were 17-0, and they unanswered points. Yeah.
I'll give you a quick thing on Tampa Bay. I think Fournette, even though Rojo, as they call him, right, he had a good game for Tampa Bay. Fournette needs more touches. Brady has to force the ball a little more to Evans. The only 3 times he threw the ball to him, 2 of them were pass interference calls. So I think that shows he can play. He's got a bum hamstring. That's why he can only run verticals. And by the way, Scotty Miller is now the new Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman.
Yeah. He is. I was very impressed. That's exactly what I thought of it. And you know what? He seems like he might be Brady's favorite target. Good
right away. Yeah.
Good pickup in fantasy right now, Scotty Miller. He's not owned in a lot of leagues.
All right. Hey, give me real quick on the Pats game. It was a little bit of a dud, but you know what? I thought the offense was fun. It looked like a college offense running all those zone reads.
Yeah. They ran a lot of that. And, my biggest takeaways for that game, number 1 is Cam Newton, obviously. Cam Newton had a great game. He ran the ball. He had 75 yards on 15 carries, leading rusher on the Patriots, rushed for 2 touchdowns, passed the ball when he needed to pass the ball, managed the offense very well. Everything right now points to Cam Newton being a good fit in New England. So that was my biggest takeaway. My other takeaway is just the whole entire rushing attack. At 217 yards rushing, number one by far in the NFL in week one. The closest team to that was the Arizona Cardinals, who rushed for 180 yards against San Francisco. But still, way far above that was the Patriots at 217. So the number one team. And I don't think that they would be short of doing that throughout the season. This could be a top 3 running attack in the NFL.
Ooh,
so
right.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they run the ball. Very different team than what we're used to watching, for sure.
I will say this about the running game real quick. J.J. Taylor looks like a real little keeper, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me a little bit of Kevin Falk and a little bit of Dion Lewis. He has some burst, and for a little guy, he has some power behind him. That's a surprise. That was not even a pick. It was a free agency.
Yeah. So
right.
My other 2 takeaways, the defense. The defense losing the people that they did and not having some of the key players like Hightower and Chung.
Yep.
You start to question their, where they were going to fall defensively. And I know they played the Dolphins, and the Dolphins got to figure some stuff out, but still only 269 yards allowed to a team. But usually Ryan Fitz figures out a way to get the ball down the field. He usually passes for 300 yards just himself against the Patriots. And here they are only letting up 269 the whole game, rushing and passing, which was the 5th best defensive yardage allowed in the NFL in week one. So
yeah.
A little bit impressed with that. And then my 4th takeaway is still on the defensive side of the ball is the 3 picks. I think this defensive backfield in New England is solid, probably one of the best defensive backfields in the NFL.
Sure.
Yep. By picking Ryan Fitz 3 times in that game.
I'm with you. But I will say this. It was Miami. That's all I'm going to say. It was Miami. It's like playing the JV. Hey, by the way.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay. We'll see.
We will see. All right. Let me go back to Tampa Bay for 1 minute before we get on to our pick 6, because interesting little note here. I picked this stat up this week. Arians came out and was all over Brady post-game and this week, blah, blah, blah. A little stat about Mr. Arians, the genius, the boy wonder. He's not a boy by anything. His first year coaching a quarterback, check this out. First year coaching Peyton Manning, 28 picks. First year coaching Tim Couch, I know he didn't really pan out, 21 picks. First year Big Ben, not too bad, 11 picks with Ben Roethlisberger. First year coaching Andrew Luck, 18 picks. First year coaching Carson Palmer, a pretty good quarterback, 22 picks. And, of course, last year, first year with Jameis, 30 picks. I'm starting to wonder, is it the player or the coach? We will see over the coming weeks. And I got a little DYK for you. Maybe you picked up on it during that little rant. Which Heisman quarterback has won the most games in NFL history?
Well, I definitely know it wasn't Tim Couch.
He didn't win a Heisman.
Oh, yeah, he was the number 1 pick overall, though, right?
Think so, yeah.
I don't know. Manning?
It was Carson Palmer. 92 wins. I would have guessed Roger Staubach or Jim Plunkett before Carson Palmer. Wow. All right. Let's get on to this. Hey, I got one little last thing for you, PB. I got to rub this in. 9 for 157. Does that sound like a guy on the downward slope?
Yep.
Julio Jones' stats last weekend. He's immense. And by the way, his other 2 colleagues also went over 100 yards because he was on the field. All right. Let's get on to our picks this week. Oh, speaking of Julio, pick 1 and the pick 6, Falcons at the Cowboys. Who do you like?
Well, I think Dallas needs to bounce back from their loss on the road with the Rams last week. Atlanta, however, they had the most passing yards in the NFL in week 1 against a very good Seattle defense.
I agree.
So the Dallas defensive backfield is going to have their work cut out for them, and they also their line because they got to get to the quarterback. So very big challenge this week for Dallas in terms of defending the Falcons' passing attack. But even in light of that, I still think that Dallas wins this game. Obviously, the loser of this game goes to 0-2, and it's going to be a tough battle from that point forward. We know the chances of making the playoffs when you start a season 0-2 is pretty low. So
yes,
it's an important game, but I think in the end, the home team, Dallas Cowboys, win.
All right, I'm with you on that. Hey, little note. I think the Cowboys might have fired the wrong coach. Offense was sad last week against the Rams. Little Dorothy reference again. Kellen, you're not in Boise anymore. This is the big boys league. Put your grown man pants on and call some plays that the NFL can respond to. Jesus Christ. All right, Vikings at the Colts. You need a big comeback with the Colts. I need a big comeback of the Vikings because I have them in the NFC North.
Yep.
What do you think here? This is a good game.
Yeah, the same deal here. We have two teams that are basically facing an 0-2 record. The loser is going to be 0-2. It's going to be a tough road to make the playoffs. So, disappointing loss last week for both teams, really. Minnesota losing at home to Green Bay. But here's the thing. Green Bay amassed 522 yards of offense, number one in the NFL, which means Minnesota had the worst defense in the NFL in the first week, a top 10 defense potential that most people are projecting. So what's going to happen this week? And then Indianapolis had the third most total yards of offense in week one, albeit against Jacksonville. But it's going to make for an interesting matchup. I think in the end, just like I said with Dallas, the home team ends up winning this game. So I'm going to give the nod to the Colts.
I'm going to take the Vikings because I didn't think that Indianapolis showed they have any pass defense in the secondary. They have a poor secondary. They're great up front, both sides of the lines of scrimmage, but I think they're weak in the pass defense. I like the Vikings. All right, Rams at Philly. Hey, the little DYK. It's battle of the number 1 and the number 2 pick in the 2016 draft. Carson Wentz was number 2, and of course Jared Goff was number 1. Who do you like here?
So it's an interesting one. So Phillies, I think they got a little bit of a wake-up call with that loss to Washington. They started out of the gates pretty strong. They let Washington come back on them. I don't have Philly in the playoffs this year. You do have Philly in the playoffs. I still think in this game, and I think the Rams are coming off a pretty exciting win there against Dallas. They go up on the road in Philly. Philly figures out a way to win this game, so I'm going with the Eagles.
You know what? You think the Rams stink. You've been saying that all offseason. I think they're still a decent team. They're much better than you think they are. They win this game. They go up 2-0. And by the way, that means they only have to play 500 football to make the playoffs. 9-7 will get them in the playoffs. I think Philly wins. The Rams win this game. All right. Ravens go down to Houston. Lamar and Deshaun, two of the best quarterbacks in the AFC.
Yeah.
I know the Ravens are favored big time by 7. It is at Houston. Who do you like?
Yeah, it's a tough, interesting game.
It is.
Baltimore is a very well-balanced team. They have a really good defense, really great defense. They have a really interesting offense. Not the best core of receivers there, but still their running in games is legit. And, of course, Lamar Jackson. I just think Houston did some good things against Kansas City. I know they lost the game in the end pretty big, but they did some good things against Kansas City. I think they got a lot of potential. They're coming back into their home field. This is one of the games I predicted Baltimore. I got Baltimore finishing the year, with a good record, 12-4, 11-5, something along those lines. But this is a game that they're going to lose. I think the Texans will win this game.
Oh, yeah, that's the second one I've heard today. Stephen A. also picked them. Wow. All right. I'm taking Lamar and the Ravens, not with the points. They're going to win by 4, but they're going to win the game.
Well, so far out of the 4 games we picked, you were different on 3 of them. The only one we have the same is Dallas.
Yeah. All right. Bills. By the way, who won last week between you and I?
You went 4-2, and I went 2-4. So I'm off at you. But hey, we have enough different picks that I can. So we'll see.
All right. Bills at the Dolphins. Your new home team.
Yeah, this is another game I already predicted when I went through each division, and this is a game that Buffalo's just not going to be prepared for. I know they had a nice win against the Jets in the first week, and Miami obviously lost to the Pats, but they're going to come back home, and I think they're going to do some stuff here.
So you're taking the Dolphins, the JV
Dolphins at home to beat the Bills in an upset. This is my upset pick of the week.
JV team beats the varsity. And by the way, the Bills only beat the freshman squad the week before. So maybe you're right. Okay. All right. Last one. Sunday Night Football. Pats go all the way out to the West Coast where the air is bad right now through the fires. Pats at the Seahawks. Who do you like here?
So, like you last week, Z, all 6 of your picks, you picked the home team in every game. So far, if you've noticed, I picked the home team. 5 straight games. And for this last one, I am going to stick with that theory, and I'm going to take the Seahawks. I love what I saw of the Patriots last week. The Seahawks were also pretty impressive last week as well on the road against Atlanta. Now they're back home. New England's got to travel west. It's a night game. I just really see Seattle winning this game. It's going to be close, but I think Seattle wins it. So I'm going to take the Seahawks.
I'm with you, Seahawks as well. I do have one little concern about them, and that's the 450 yards that Matty Ice put up. And I know a lot of it was in garbage time, but it still happened. So I don't know, but I think Seattle pulls it out with you. It might be closer than the 4-point spread. All right. Hey, last parting shot before we leave. Who won the fantasy league this week for Survivor?
Oh, yeah. That would be you, Z. You won. But here's the thing. You won by 0.04 because quarterbacks get like a percentage point for every yard thrown. So that's how it panned out. You had it over G Money by 0.04. But you know what? It's all stacked up. Anything can happen. We already have people. Michael Thomas isn't playing this weekend. So some of the people picking that league are already cut out of the picture, and that's where the Survivor piece comes into play. So
it is. Well, when you get 4 Hall of Famers on your roster, it's hard to lose. That's all I got to say.
All right. Okay.
All right, man. Hey, nice show, sports fans. We'll be coming at you next week with more NFL, NCAA talk. And, of course, we'll talk a little more about MLB and NBA because it's getting down to the finals and all that, as well as NHL. BB, signing off. Have a good one.
All right. You as well, my friend.